Oh, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? It's me coming back at you again with another live stream vid. All right. I know I'm kind of a little behind on this one, but it's still within the 24-hour parameter. Whereas the big news had broke out today that Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua have signed their agreements to have the one of the biggest heavyweight fights on paper to happen. It will be for the undisputed heavyweight championship. Tyson Fury, the Lineal, the Ring Magazine, and the WBC champion going up against Anthony Joshua, who is a unified WBA, IBF, and WBO heavyweight champion of the world. Now, before I get into my take and my thoughts on this situation with the contract signings, um, I have to address the lineal thing because there has been a bit of a debate with the AJ fans, the fanatics. I'm sorry to say, not AJ fans, but the fanatics. They're discrediting Tyson Fury's lineage. Okay, now first things first, he is a lineal champion, and the reason why he is a lineal champion because he beat the number 2 heavyweight, and at the time when they fought, both or whoever Wilder was rated number 1 when they fought in their rematch after Joshua lost. Okay, now to Ruiz. A consensus indicated after Joshua suffered that loss to Ruiz in 2018 in Madison Square Garden, the rankings shifted. Whereas Deontay Wilder was bumped to number 1 in the heavyweight rankings at the time when he was the champion, and Tyson Fury is rated number 2. And due to that consensus of a ranking, not only the Ring Magazine was up, belt was up for grabs, but also the lineal status was up for grabs. I don't know why, because Tyson Fury never lost his titles in the ring. He was just out for 3 years. But whatever the case may be, he beat Wilder and he solidified his lineal status. And not only that, he captured the WBC title, he also captured the Ring Magazine title. So he is the lineal champion. Excuse me. Until someone beats him, and that could potentially be Joshua, then that person is the lineal champion. So that's the way it is. If you don't like it, then too bad. You cannot, you can't dispute the facts. That's what it is. And and furthermore, the TBRB, which is the which is a transnational ranking system, which is very nonpartisan, by the way. They actually have a very, very, very good fair ranking system. They're the ones who have they recognize Tyson Fury as a lineal champion, as the recognized heavyweight champion. So that's the way it is. So until Joshua beats him, he'll get that status. Anyhow, um, so let's talk about the meat of the conversation here. So Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury have signed their contracts. The story broke by boxing journalist and commentator Mark Kriegel for ESPN, and then Sky Sports picked up on it along with other outlets. Yeah, what up, Doc? You having some beer right now? Celebrating? That's good. Um, so the contract has been signed, but then again, the date and the venue has not been announced. Now, let me just get this out. Let's clear that up, okay? All people out there who are saying that the date and venue hasn't yet been announced. What's going on with that? Let me remind you. When the first Wilder Fury fight got announced, we didn't have a venue. The date did come shortly after. But what's up, blood? So we did have a date, but we didn't have the venue. So, but at the same time, though, the difference with that situation compared to this one is that at least with the first Wilder Fury fight, there was advertisement that was being posted between both the Wilder camp and the Fury camp. So there's some major differences there. Opposed to this one here, not only that we don't have any advertising for this fight. Uh, Neither side is yet to confirm it. I mean, Eddie Hearn, I'm looking at everyone's social feeds, all the parties that's involved right now. I know, to be fair, you may want to give them at least 24 or 48 hours, but typically, if a big fight gets announced or if the story breaks, they will just advertise it immediately. Now, I find that kind of odd that neither Anthony Joshua, neither Tyson Fury, neither Frank Warren, neither Queensberry, which is, obviously that's Frank Warren's promotion, and TK Global, neither is Eddie Hearn. They haven't even posted this the announcement, quote unquote, They haven't even posted it on their social media. I mean, Joshua posted one thing on his social media so far. He posted a picture of himself, looked like a black and white modeling photo, and he put in the message: "The landlord is coming to collect." I'm not sure if that's a subliminal message to Tyson Fury saying, "Hey, I'm coming to collect your belt," whatever the case may be. But the skepticism is what comes into play. Now, hear me out here. Now, you have Gary Davies, who's a longtime boxing journalist and is now a commentator with the Zone, right? And is a good friend with Tyson Fury. He was asked about this by IFL. He said, "Look, I just text Tyson Fury to get his take on what about this breaking news, and all he said was, quote, Tyson told me that there's nothing else to discuss. I don't have anything new to share with you." And Gareth Davies said that, you know what, I find it not too shocking because this is nothing new because both guys have already signed their agreements a long time ago. But it is kind of weird in a way because why would Eddie Hearn go out there unilaterally and leak this over to Mark Kriegel? Why would he do that? Why would he do that without Bob Arum, without MTK, without Frank Warren? Shouldn't this supposed to be a joint announcement? Because when a big fight gets announced, there has to be a joint announcement. That is the norm. But why would Eddie Hearn go to Mark Kriegel and tell him this, that they signed their contracts on Saturday, even though we were told their contracts was already signed long before that? See, there's a lot of flip-flopping going on, so I can't even keep up. So he tells Mark Kriegel. Mark Kriegel breaks the story today. And then Kerry Davies has pointed out there's still some very, very large outstanding issues here. Aside from the date and the date and the venue, okay, again, it's normal for a fight to be announced without a date and venue to be announced at the same time. I get that. That can happen on some occasions. However, what we don't know is who's putting up the money for the fight. And this was Gary A. Davies is alluding to. They don't even have the funding. He said they don't even have the funding, and they have supposedly 28 days. And this is according to what Top Rank had at Todd LeBeouf. I think they addressed this today. They're still working out logistics, but they only have like 28 to 30 days to get this over the finish line. Otherwise, they don't have a fight. Which means that, okay, let's say if they do get the site, they get the fee, they get the they get the location. All parties have to sign off on it. Let's say if Tyson Fury doesn't sign off on either one, the fight is off. And I find that very bizarre. I'm like, well, wait a minute. So basically, you're telling us the contracts are signed, but yet you're not quite over the finish line. Wait a minute. So you're telling us there's still a possibility this fight is going to be called off. And then even Dan Raphael came out today, a former journalist from ESPN. He comes out and says that just because they signed contract doesn't mean the fights are gone. Okay. They're having a problem of raising the money right now. This is what Bob Arum said yesterday while on vacation in Cabo. He said they can't even get the investors to put up the money for the fight because of the COVID restrictions around the world. They can't even do it. But then a day later, which is today and yesterday in the UK, this comes out. So I am very worried about this because Tyson Fury has not been very optimistic about this fight. Neither some of his other people in his camp. And then you have these reporters like, for example, Gary Davies, take it as you will. He's a Tyson Fury fanboy. You have Dan Raphael. Then you have Mark Kriegel, who gave an interview IFL today as well. I mean, damn, IFL is getting a lot of exclusives today. I mean, he gave an interview, and he, again, as I mentioned not too long ago, that Top Rank hasn't fully even committed to saying this fight is signed, sealed, and delivered. He's saying that they still have 28 days to get this all these other obstacles resolved, and yet we don't even know the outcome of the Wilder arbitration situation. So we know that's still in litigation, but we don't know the outcome of that, the result of that. So I look, guys, this is not me being pessimistic. This is me being very realistic about the situation. Me personally, if you ask me, I think Wilder needs to step aside, let the fight go ahead. I think he needs a confidence building fight to get back into the mix. But if he feels that he needs to pursue this in litigation and get the third fight, then so be it. That's on him. But me personally, I want that undisputed fight to go ahead. I don't want any more obstacles. And what I heard today was not reassuring to me that they got this over the line. Because Bob Arum said they haven't gotten over the line. I mean, Hearn and all in in Matchroom, none of them has confirmed it. I know Sky Sports picked up on it only because ESPN is the one who broke the story. I get that. What's up, Ahmed? And what's up, Doc? Ike, DGL and blood. I know. But the fact is that I'm not convinced at all, and I'm still worried. Now, even I predict that this is there will be some announcement, some form. That's the thing. I predicted this. But I also predict that if they do have a press conference, which I believe it will happen, Tyson Fury is going to put on a show and he's going to pull out of the fight because he doesn't seem up for it. I really believe he doesn't seem up for it at all. I don't believe he's really committed or he's very focused, or better yet, I don't think he's has the confidence enough to go through this fight right now because he wants tune-ups and he's been out of the ring for more than a year now. So I don't know, man. Mr. Doc says that. Well, before I get to Mr. Doc, Ike says that Eddie outsmarted Bob and Fury trying to use Wilder taxes $50 million to tarnish AJ's reputation, thereby announced the fight. Well, I don't know. I don't know if Eddie outsmarted Bob, so we'll see, man. Haplotype, what's happening, man? I don't know about that because I know that Eddie, Hearn, and Bob Arum have a bit of a strained relationship right now because of the Teofimo Lopez and George Cambosa situation. Because Eddie kind of ruffled feathers when he had the audacity to bid for that fight, and Bob warned him not to do that, and he did it anyway. So that situation could complicate this situation with Fury and Joshua. So I don't know. So Ike says, look, well, Mr. Doc says it sounds like Eddie is baking on that Middle Eastern money. It's possible. It's possible. But and again, due to COVID restrictions, and then you got the networks who got to get involved in this too. It's a very, very complex situation, man, because you got to get everybody on board. Everybody. And it takes a lot of people to get on board rather than just getting investors on board. I think that's another thing too. As I mentioned, the Middle East investors, are they on board? Because we have COVID restrictions right now, and unless they can get the full capacity in the stadiums, then great. But again, that site fee is the biggest issue right now. The funding is the biggest issue right now. And as I mentioned, Dan Raphael and Bob Abrams even pointed this out, that they don't even have the money right now. They don't have the capital. So I hope they can raise it in 30 days because what I'm afraid of is if they don't get it in 30 days, then that WBL mandatory will be called. That's what I'm worried about. Aki says that Fury wants out. I mean, Eddie announced it to expose Fury. Now Fury's stuck. You know what? As much as I don't agree with you all, all the time, 99.9% of the time, I don't agree with you, but you may have a point there. Because I think the reason why this came out, and by the way, Eddie didn't announce it. It was Eddie who leaked this over to Mark Kriegel. Mike Kriegel is the one who put this information out as breaking news. It wasn't any announcement. It was a breaking news. Okay, he hasn't even announced it yet. But anyways, maybe this is strategic because with her sending this over to Mike Kriegel and ESPN, maybe it's a way to pressure Top Rank and Bob Arum and Queensberry, Frank Warren to start getting the ball rolling on this. Because what I also find strange is that now all of a sudden they're reporting this 28-day timetable. And I find that strange as well. It's like, why would you announce that to the public that you have 28 days to get this over the finish line? Otherwise, you have no fight. I find that very strange as well. So maybe Eddie Hearn, who likes to negotiate in public, wanted this out there so that way he could pressure Bob Arum and Frank Warren to get this done and not waste any time. So he has put a lot of pressure on them based off this. I think that's what it is. So that's definitely a good point. Haplo Hamed. Haplo says that maybe they announced a fight and a tune-up for Fury. It's possible. That's possible too. And let me just say this, Haplo. I think the fight will happen later this year. I just don't think it's going to happen in the summer. I just don't. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's going to happen this summer. If it does happen this summer, then great. But as Alexander Usyk's promoter said the other day with IFL, he says that fight will be announced. It'll be set for the fall. But I don't think as far as summer is concerned, he doesn't think they have enough time to get this over the finish line in the summer. For the summer, I should say. He predicted, and this is an interview he gave last week. He says that they don't have enough time. he predicts that if they don't get this over the finish line within 4 weeks, maybe 3 to 4 weeks, then the WBO will have to call for the mandatory for Usyk versus Joshua. So he may be right on this one because now the timetable's been made publicly, and it makes me worried. I'm very skeptical about this. So yeah, Champ Ross, what's happening, brother? What's happening? Let me see. Amir, what's happening? Long time no hear, man. BG London says, yeah, I just watched Dan Raphael's interview on IFL. I see what you're saying now. Yeah, it's just like, why you have boxing journalists who are coming out there and raising questions and eyebrows about this breaking news? You got Mark Kriegel, who pretty much didn't convince me that this is all over the finish line. He even said it himself that Top Rank hasn't even really put the stamp of approval on this. They're just saying, yeah, we signed some, some agreements here and there, but we still have to get over the finish line. We're not done yet. So yeah, I know a lot of people want to, say, why are you saying pointing the negative, Dan? Be positive about it. I'm like, well, I am trying to be positive, but when I see there's people out there who hasn't quite put their stamp of approval on it, then it makes me worried. And it also also worries me that this hasn't been a joint announcement between both Matchroom and Top Rank, and along with NTK Global, along with Queensberry Promotion. So it makes me wondering what's the deal here, and none of them has even posted this or even advertised this on their social medias yet. So yeah, and be fair, let's give them some time because they do have about 29 days or 28 days, whatever the case may be, to get this over the finish line. But yeah, it does cause raises a call. It does cause for concern here for me. All right, let me see if I can get the guys in here, and we can chop it up real quickly. All right, I'm gonna post a link in the chat if anybody want to jump on. All right. All right, let's see. And by the way, rest in peace to one of the greatest middleweight fighters of all time, who arguably is the greatest middleweight fighter of all time. That's Marvelous Marvin Hagler. I know I had briefly send out my condolences to him and his family, but it's worth to note that the world of boxing suffered a huge loss. I know we lost Muhammad Ali about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I should say, and now the marvelous one had passed away, and unexpectedly too, because we did, it seemed like he was in pretty good health. He seemed to always be in high spirits, and the next, this occurred out of nowhere, and I know there's some debate on his cause of death right now. Justin Trouble, what's happening, brother? What's happening, Mr. Doc? I know there's some, debate on how he passed away. I know Tommy Hearns put this out on social media that it was due to the adverse effects of the COVID-19 vaccine that he received. But we don't know that for sure, because I like to know, how did Tommy Hearns get access to that private information, and while nobody else is able to corroborate that. So now that doesn't suggest that Tommy Hearns is lying here. Maybe someone fed that information to him and he may have mischaracterized it, or maybe misunderstood it, or maybe he didn't misunderstood it and someone fed him incorrect information about Marvin Hagler's condition before he passed away. So I don't know, but yeah. So Mr. Doc, what's happening, man?
Not a whole lot. How you been, dude? How you been? Staying safe, I hope.
And here, hold on. I got it. Hold on. There you go.
Okay. You can hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, I had myself on mute, my speaker on
mute.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. Recognize what's happening in the chat, man. He said, salute Dan the man. Hagler was the greatest middleweight and one of the greatest boxers of all time. Yeah, arguably he is the greatest middleweight of all time. But I prefer Sugar Ray Robinson or even Tiger Flowers over Marvin Hagler, but that's just my opinion.
The Georgia Deacon.
Huh?
I think they called him the Georgia Deacon, right? Tiger Flowers.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yep, the Georgia Deacon, indeed. Justin Trouble, what's happening, bro?
Please, Harry, I don't mind you swearing, but could you stop taking the Lord's name in vain? I don't know if you heard that quote, but I heard that. I fell over.
Yeah, it's funny though, man, because I was watching one of Marvin's old fights before he passed away. I was watching the Tommy Hearns fight, which
Yeah.
is obviously the most notable fight. But I watched the Duran fight too, the 15-round fight they had. That was a very tough fight for Marvin. And before that, I watched the Vito Antuomo, the first fight where he equally got robbed. We
Yeah.
all agree he got robbed for that fight. And before that, he had to even go to he had to contest his the injustice that was happening to him, where he was not getting a world title opportunity. He had to go to Congress
Yep.
to present his case. He had to go to Ted Kennedy, who was the senator at the time from Massachusetts, to to look into why fighters like him were not getting opportunities. And I think what happened is that they I think the government warned the promoters and the managers, look, if you're not giving your fighters fair shots at the titles, then we're going to have to regulate your sport and make sure they do.
I think if memory serves, I could be wrong on this. I think the main guys dealing with handling Hagler at that time would it have been Aram, and would Russell Peltz have still been involved, or
No,
that
no, no, I don't
ended?
think it was Russell Peltz. I know
Because
what the
Russell Peltz
Cincinnati brothers.
handled him for a lot of his early career, I know,
Right, exactly. He
or
did.
at least he was like, he's the one who he got fights from.
Right, right. Yeah, you could be right in that area, but the fact is that pretty much he got a shot against Bernard Formal, and then he got robbed on the cards. Then he had to wait another 2 years, I believe, to get another shot. Now it's against Alan Minter. And what's sad about that fight is that, yes, Hagler brutalized Minter,
Yeah,
brutalized him. But it's sad to say that he didn't properly get to celebrate his title win.
yeah.
Uh,
The fans went Cleveland Brown fan
yeah, through crap
throwing
at
the
him
beer.
in the ring. I mean, that was just fucked up, man. I mean,
Yeah,
look,
yeah.
Marvin Hagler, huh?
If memory serves, didn't Howard Cosell literally say he was crawling under the ring?
Yeah,
While he's like announcing the shit, he's like, "Fuck this."
yeah. He like, I'm out of here. I mean, look, you could be hit with a damn. I don't know. Back then, they were allowed to have glasses, and in the audience. What if you got hit by a glass?
What I always heard was it was bottles of beer that were being hurled, like, and which means glass bottles back in those days.
Yeah, see, that's dangerous right there. Somebody can
Yeah,
get
yeah.
hit with that, and get cut over the head. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
yeah, I was using. I remember the. I don't. Do you remember that NFL football game, the Cleveland Brown game, where
yeah, I
the
remember
fans
that
got
game.
pissed off and they just
Yeah,
ended up ending it? Those were just plastic bottles. Keep in mind, the Coors
yeah.
plastic bottle.
Well,
So imagine. Yeah,
yeah. Go
but
ahead.
no, I'm saying that people were getting hurt. Like one of the refs got like badly, cut up in his head and shit from one of them. Never.
Yeah.
So I'm using that to kind of reinforce your point of these are glass bottles. Get in the ring. You know what I mean? You can't. Oh my god, that's completely out of control.
Yeah,
Completely
I
out of
mean,
control.
it is what it is. Hagler got the victory. I mean, besides, it was Alimentu who kind of fucking, that
Yeah.
that promotion,
What was this? Yeah.
that
Yeah.
promotion was kind of a little bit nasty because Alimentu went out there. He tried to racialize the situation and said, you know what, I'm never gonna let a black boy beat me. I'm like, what the fuck? Okay.
So he
And
did. He
what
did like the reverse Bernard, kind of.
Yeah, exactly what Bernard said about Joe Kawasaki. So that was equally bad. So when you say something like that, you have a guy who's black and who's hungry, who's a
Yeah.
southpaw, who can hit hard, who's pretty dangerous, very dangerous, that I might add. He's coming after you, and
Right,
that's exactly what he did.
if memory serves, he tried to run it back, but it's like, dude, we got you quoted here. It's a
Yeah,
little too late. Too late.
yeah, exactly. Too late. Um, yeah. So back to this Joshua and Fury thing. Hamed says that is there a date for the Usyk mandatory? Nope, we haven't even
No.
got that yet from the WBO. So as I was saying, Mr. Dog, you heard me express my concerns and my
Right.
doubts. Look, the fight will happen. No question about it. It will happen.
Gonna start
But
calling you doom and gloom boxing, but I'm
yeah,
kidding. I'm kidding.
exactly. But the fact is that I don't think it's going to happen at the time that we hope it will happen. It will happen later this year or probably early next year. That's just my prediction. And that I think what it is that they will have a press conference eventually, but somebody's going to pull out his fight, and it's going to be Tyson Fury.
Mm.
I believe it because he doesn't seem like he's fully engaged. He could be fooling us, knowing Tyson Fury, but I don't know, man. I don't like his attitude towards this fight. I really don't like it. His approach.
I have a rule when it comes to Tyson Fury and any kind of things I hear about him saying, on social media or in interviews or a combination of same. And that just is, I don't waste my time trying to decode it because it's hopeless with him. You don't know.
Yeah,
You're never really, at the end of the day, we're never going to really know until fight night whether he's bullshitting, playing gamesmanship, actually having, one of his, mental moments, whatever you want to call it, right?
right.
You know what I mean? There's never going to be any way for us to know till fight night or when he pulls out of the fight. So I'm just like, yeah, whatever, Tyson, okay, and I'm just going to play wait and see. You know what I mean?
Right.
As to, I think the main point where the reason that they have, like, I think they're covering their asses basically,
Yeah,
and it's understandable because the pandemic's made everything so unpredictable, right?
right.
So I was talking to Beats about this earlier today. I think it's, in a sort of, historically speaking, an ironic twist because of the pandemic. I think we're going to start seeing some more big fights happening in what would in modern times be considered odd locations,
Yeah,
like the
that's a good
Middle
point.
East and whatnot. Because I think some of those places, let's just be honest, some of those places where the government maybe, can be a little more authoritarian, they can just go, yeah, we're lifting the restrictions so that you can come in and give us a bunch of money.
Right.
And you know what I mean? They can kind of do them, they can do what they want. Let's just be honest. In
Yeah,
Dubai, the powers that be can pretty much do what they want, right? They got all the
yeah,
money,
but that's true. But the question is, and this is what's been coming up.
right?
The site fees is gonna, it's very expensive. It could be excessive as much as $100 million. Now, Bob Aarons pointed this out yesterday and said, "Look,
Hmm.
we don't even have the capital to get the fight going."
Which is why I'm thinking it's got to be the Middle East, because at least at this point in time, the only place I can think of where, last I heard, the restrictions aren't as tight as they are most places.
Yeah,
Plus you have the component of, let's be honest, the powers that be can pretty much do what they want, right? And most
right.
importantly, who's got more money than Dubai?
Nobody does.
Nobody got more money. So if anybody's going to be able to afford this and make this happen, it's going to be Middle East, and Eddie's already kind of,
UAE. Yeah, you mean the
somewhere in
UAE?
there. So I'll just
Yeah,
generalize and say the Middle East, whether it's Saudi or UAE or whatever, right?
right.
Point being, Eddie's got at least a little bit of experience doing business down there now, and I think that's where he's angling for. I think that's
Yeah,
what
that's
he's
what he's
angling for.
angling for. But yeah, and now here's another big picture. You got to get the legality measures involved. You have to get the lawyers
Mm.
involved. You have to get the networks on board. That's another thing too. They haven't yet ironed out. And I'm like, wait, you haven't even ironed that out yet? What?
Well, okay, so there's one thing right there, right? If they
Yes.
decide to have it, I don't even. Does anybody happen to know this? Because it just occurred to me as you were talking, Dan. The time zone. So if they
Yeah.
do let's say they have it in Dubai. I don't
Yeah.
even know what time zone that is. They have to sit there and figure out, okay, what's going to be the best middle ground time, right, for the fight to go on for
Right.
UK fans, and then of course Bob's going to want, as many American eyeballs as he can get from his
Right.
side of things, right?
Right.
So they're gonna have to meet in the middle probably, and I don't know what time of day that would be. What time of day would that end up being? Does anybody?
Well, I'm looking at the
Yeah,
Dubai
that's
time zone right now. It's Tuesday right now, and it's 5:40 a.m. So that's about 10
Holy.
and 12 hours ahead of us in the West
Okay.
Coast. So
Okay.
I don't know how this is going to work in Dubai.
yeah, that is crazy because that's what's going on, Dan. What's going on?
What's going
Hey,
on,
what's
YG?
up, YG?
What's going on, fellas? I was listening to y'all, and which I joined. There was a couple of points I think y'all kind of leaving out on the other side of the Tyson Fury thing about how he's was playing the fence, like how y'all saying he might pull out. But
Yeah.
let's not forget that on the other end, they kind of purposely kind of stalled out and made him wait too. Like there's a whole little game that Eddie and them be doing over here, the way they kind of do business when they sign a match. Like I think they kind of dragged it out. That's why he was saying like for all of this, I could afford Wilder
Yeah.
because they could have been signed the contracts and got this thing rocking a little bit earlier. Like the other day when he was talking, I think he was BSing. Like when he was just BSing when he was like, I don't know what's going on. Y'all know more than me. Because
Right.
how right after that, the contracts is like either like when he was saying that the lawyers and everybody that signed works out the due diligence for the contracts, they was working on it while he was making that statement, or he was just BSing from the whole time. And like
Right.
I guess during contract negotiations, you don't really supposed to talk about what's really being said to a signed. So
Right.
maybe he was pulling that one, but I kind of think I was leaning towards more he like right now the tactics that he's pulling is because of what Eddie and them was doing at the beginning too.
Right. Yeah, that's possible. That's yeah. I'm not gonna discredit that, YG. But
What
what
else?
I'm worried about is that you have journalists out here who are skeptical about it. And you have all the parties involved haven't even announced it on their social media feeds. There has been no joint announcement. This was just a story that was leaked by Mark Kriegel. And when Mike Kriegel was talking to IFL today, he said that yeah, I talked to a couple representatives over Top Rank, and they said yeah, things on the up and up. We just got 28 days to get this over the finish line.
It sounds like what it is basically. In other words, is a deal in principle.
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what it seems
It's an
exactly.
agreement in principle.
well,
Yeah,
Assuming, in other words, meaning we agree that assuming X, Y, Z, and whatever else are put into place in the 28
see
days
the only
ahead,
thing the
we
only
will
thing
go.
about
We will do the above.
right. And another thing
the
too.
only thing about that though is
Yeah,
when it's agreed in principle, they actually put that there. Like up until today, football players only agreed in principle of who they was going to sign with. Like
right.
today was actually the day that the signs and the trades can go through. But
Right,
ESPN,
right. I wasn't trying to be exacting.
no.
I was
But
borrowing the term.
no,
I
no.
was
What I'm trying to
borrowing
say
the
is
term. Sorry.
ESPN like put out there like, oh, it's signed. Like the only thing they're hashing out is the date and the site for both of the fights.
But as Dan's pointed out, technically speaking, they might, say there's another, pandemic surge, they may not be able to find a site. Which
Right.
so I mean, I'm just saying by the loose definition, that's what I mean by in principle. I'm not trying to be exact one for
Right.
one with what
And
an
another thing.
NFL
Right.
contract is.
And another thing I want to add to this too is that Garrett Davies, I keep alluding to it because you take a look at the interview with he had with
Mhm.
IFL. He said, look, you have to get all the parties to agree to the date. You have to get all the parties to agree to the location and the venue.
And the
If I
time, remember
and the time,
the time, yeah.
yeah, and the time zone too that satisfy all the networks. That too, you have to get all the parties involved to agree to all those measures. If one of them objects to it, the fight is off.
Right, and
I-
and
I'm like,
I want to reinforce that we're in, we have to remember, we're what 2 years almost now into a way more unpredictable time than just what it was 2 years ago.
right,
Two years ago, in other words, before the pandemic, right?
mhm,
I'd be like, I'm not that concerned about these details because you know what I
The
mean.
bi-
There was everywhere in the world they could go that would fill out the
the
house.
bigger the bigger question is the zone going to get the broadcasting?
that's another thing too. They haven't even worked out that yet. What about the broadcasting rights? How are they gonna get that together? How are they gonna do a joint broadcast with the Zone and
Oh
ESPN?
yeah, yeah. Because Bob's not going to want. He's going to want to try and charge $100. He's not going to want DAZN over there with your $10. People getting it on DAZN with their $10 membership. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that
Or less if you pay the yearly.
well, here this is gonna be a. I don't know if it's gonna be a tough sell, especially you have. I mean, Fury's been on pay-per-view in the U.S., but Joshua hasn't. So that how do you sell that on?
I think undisputed heavyweight title fight still means something. Not what it used to, not what it should, but I
Yeah,
still think that might draw in terms of we're talking casual sports fans,
right,
right?
right.
I think that alone might more than the names involved draw everybody into hey, this is the full enchilada right here. This is it.
Yeah, if they market it right, then yeah, they can get a good pay-per-view buy rate, just like they did Wilder Fury too. But
Yeah,
but the thing is that yeah, the time zone that's going to be the major issue, along with the networks. How are you going to get them to agree on to certain terms on broadcasting the fight? The zone is an app. That's
Yeah,
another challenging part.
it sounds like I'm going to want my money back because I paid to get the Joshua fight for the zone.
Yeah, and BG London said that Tyson Fury's dad, John Fury, was talking about tune-up fights before Joshua, undisputed in December if we're lucky. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm alluding to. He even said that, look, we might have to move on from Joshua and come back to the table in the fall.
Maybe
So,
like I said, to me, as soon as one, starts trying to really decode what Tyson Fury is saying, you've already lost the ball.
right.
He's drawn you into his web of whatever the fuck it's going to end up being. To me, I just feel better off. You know what? Whatever Tyson. Okay, maybe, but I'm going to wait and see what happens. And
Yeah, me personally, I'm gonna wait and see. I'm going to wait and see. I want to wait until the Fury camp confirms this. I want to see Top Ranks confirmation. I want to see Queensberry, which is Fury's camp, and I want to see MTK Global. I want them all. I want to see, once they confirm it, then okay, then I have my reassurances. I'm
now,
satisfied.
didn't they say? Didn't they run that on ESPN as well? Just the basics of it. That
Well, they said they signed their end of the deal. They've signed their
yeah.
term papers, but we haven't gotten confirmation that we're all set to go. We got everything. We're ready to go at this date. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah, they got to get the date and venue and time, and
yeah,
and I think that time slot is good. The more I think about that, the more I'm thinking, just assuming they get the crowd and venue, because those are the first steps. I think that figuring out that time slot's going to be really tricky. Because if it's in the Middle East, which is what I think is going to happen.
In the Middle East, man. Yeah, that time slot is going to be a big.
Well, to try and balance that between the UK and America. I mean, that's making my brain hurt just thinking about it.
Yeah, I know.
Looking at the time zone things.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's going to be a tough sell for ESPN and Bob's Aaron. Tough sell. So I mean, hope they can do it. But man, I just don't like this. I'm just uncomfortable with the fact that there's no full committal from either side that this is over the finish line. And now they're publicly putting out that they have a 28-day deadline. That shouldn't have been announced. I'm sorry, I don't give a damn what anybody says. You never announced that.
That's why. Hang on, that's real quick. That's why I made the comment I did about. I think because of the pandemic and everything, people are extra on the cover your ass mode thing.
Yeah,
and I think that's a lot of what it is. Is they're like being extra careful because, like you said, this is for the most part standard procedure to have. You announce it. These are the terms. We just got to sort out the date and time. But it's sorry, YG, but agreed to in principle. Under normal circumstances, in other words, pre-pandemic, I think we'd all feel. Wouldn't you feel a lot more confident, Dan, in all
absolutely.
this? Yeah, because it's like, dude, Wembley right there. That's easy, right? For example, there's a bunch of places they can pack out, but now it's like, we got to find, okay, who's gonna be reducing restrictions enough to give us the crowds and have the money, plus the time zone thing and the unpredictability in general of everything that's going on in the world right now. I think that's a big part of it too. So I guess my up in all of it is the fact he was daring enough to say as much as he did is kind of encouraging in a way to me when I think about it that way.
Right. Yeah, look, it's an encouraging news, absolutely. But the thing is that we already knew about this for a long time now. But the thing is, as I pointed out, that it's been a lot of flip-flopping going on. Last year, they said they've agreed, they've signed on the dotted line. Then another party comes out and says, well, we haven't quite signed anything yet because we're still working out a few logistics. And then the next thing you know,
it's always been, in my opinion, Dan, sorry, but this all along, it's been a matter of they're not going to hold this fight without a full crowd, or at least Dan close to it. They're gonna hold it. Yeah,
and that's the whole thing too. You're right about that, because if they can't fill out them first few rows, I don't see that. That's why I was just saying we was on EJ channel earlier, and a guy was on there. He trying to say, "Oh, Wilder didn't want the fight." Like, what are you talking about? He
wanted that fight. I tried to get on there and just set him straight about that.
They was waiting. They was waiting for the crowds. That's the thing that kept the fight. That stole the fight in the middle of the year. And then after that, by the time they was ready to Fury, he wanted to do the Joshua fight. So he kind of pulled out of that fight. He admitted to it that I could have had the Joshua fight. I mean, I could have had the Wilder fight, but I thought y'all guys was ready.
Yeah, Wilder was ready for that rematch, even though I don't think he should take it, but he was ready. He wanted it, but it wasn't his fault that fight got called off. It was the networks who didn't want it on that particular date.
They didn't want it with no crowd. They didn't. It was not.
Yeah, they wanted full crowds.
The same way. The same way. This fight, Bob Arum and the zoning them is not gonna pay these fighters all that money and not have no crowd.
Yeah, I agree.
And just as a fan of the sport, I gotta say, I don't want to see an undisputed heavyweight title fight, especially when it's been 20 years since we've had one. I don't want to see it in a bubble. Yeah. Am I being too harsh there? I just don't want it. I
hear you. Mr. Doc, I hear you on that because it deserves more of an electrifying atmosphere. I get that, but I guess because of the uncertainties with the pandemic, we don't know when this thing is going to fully end. Because it could take 2 more years, it could take 3. We don't know. I guess just a lot of people are impatient right now. They just want the big fights done, no matter what the cost may be. They don't care if the fighters get paid pennies, as long as we get the fight.
I'm in that group. I ain't gonna lie. Dan knows I've been in that group for a long time.
Yeah,
I hear you, Doc. But I'm not even gonna lie. For like the past few years, when I watch boxing, I watch it with no volume. So it's like.
No, but I'm talking about this is for my fight collection, and for when I go back to watch it later. When I watch it live, I'm with you. I don't watch with volume anymore. But the fights that are really significant, like when I go back and watch AJ Vlad. Right?
Yeah.
You best believe that's coming through the sound system. You know what I mean? I am a musician after all. So I mean that matters to me. So I get what you're saying in the moment, but I'm looking at it from the big picture, YG. And
I get it too because the crowd goes wild when a certain punch land. But that a little bit be misleading too.
Okay, let me put it a different way to you than YG. We've all watched The Rumble in the Jungle a million times, right?
Yeah.
Imagine watching that thing in a bubble. Are you kidding me? I mean, everything else about it's the same, but it's going to lose something from just that, historical. You know what I mean? Oh wow, this happened and it was awesome.
But at the same time, I almost can because the first few times I watched it on the smaller TVs. Just looking at it now, was like watching it in the bubble. The TV was so small.
I don't know about that, YG.
It wasn't that bad, YG. It wasn't that bad.
You ever look at it? Look at it now. When your TV's so small, you don't even see the crowd that much in the background.
Well,
I grew up in the 70s. My TV wasn't that small, man. My TV wasn't that small. All right.
Well, hey, but you know what though? That's a good point there. Hoplo said that. Hey, wouldn't you guys think that they would want this fight somewhere in the UK though? I mean, 2 UK fighters for undisputed title. Yeah.
That's the pre-pandemic. That's a slam dunk.
No, it's not. Because Fury's still banned.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh God, is he?
Yeah, he is. He doesn't have a license, so we don't know.
I just brought that up earlier, but I was on the call with like 4 UK people, so they was all saying he's still banned over there, so I couldn't even.
Color me cynical, guys, but there's so much money involved in this fight. If there was no pandemic, I think Tyson Fury magically gets a license. You know what I mean? Without any kind of problem, some way.
Yeah, he would have gotten a license on a provisional basis. Give him a
something. Yeah,
that's what I was saying earlier. I was saying thinking to myself so you telling me that they're gonna let all that revenue go somewhere else? Because you telling me that them two go for how much revenue that would bring in?
Yeah.
Wherever that people will have to fly in. They would make so much money. I don't get how.
Oh my God! You know what? Now that you say that, YG, it's funny you say that because something beats smartened me up on several times is how the British Boxing Board of Control is been broke for a long time. I want to say a couple decades, because of the McClellan thing and a couple other incidents. I think the Watson, the Watson thing and the Fury thing. Yeah. And then the Fury thing.
Aren't they governmentally funded though?
No, but I'm just saying, with all this money floating around, I call me cynical. I think they would be totally happy with. We're gonna get some financial stimulus out of this. Here you go, Tyson Fury. All of.
Oh yeah, they'll compromise to it. But
exactly.
What's up with Percy Bedford? Percy said that I don't think Otto was ready there. You know what, Percy? I don't think he was ready for it either. But the fact is that he was contractually signed on to that rematch for the third fight. He wanted to go forward with it. That's his prerogative. So be it. But the whole argument is that a lot of people made it seem as if it was Wilder's fault the why that fight didn't happen. That was not his fault. It was something that was out of his control. And it was even admitted by Frank Warren, Bob Arum, who tried to slander Wilder and say it was his fault that he let that contract expire. They even admitted that wasn't his fault. They said that, look, we can't put this fight on unless we have a gate revenue. Plain and simple. That's what they said. So it also makes me believe that we may not get Wilder Fury 3 immediately, but we'll get that fight down the road. I'm telling you that right now. We will get that fight down the road.
Oh, if we get full crowds back,
yeah, when the crowds come back,
time,
when that crowd comes back, that fight's gonna happen. So I'm just letting you guys know that. BG London says, a year out of the ring before the biggest fight. Yeah, Tyson Fury is gonna want a tune-up, 100%. Yeah, I think that's what he's angling for. He ain't going into that Joshua fight without a tune-up. He ain't doing it.
Okay, even if they so let's see what was it they were trying to say, July?
Yeah.
So let's say they said did late July. That's what, 4 months?
4 months. Yeah.
I mean, if he fights like a Sefi Safari, he could squeeze that in.
Yeah, he probably can, but who knows? He might end up like maybe another Otto Wallin situation.
Yeah.
But that's his problem. That's his problem. That's his problem.
That's why I'm bringing that up. That's why I just see him just taking the fight, because in his heart of hearts, like how he just said, like he still feels he's better than Joshua, however you slice it.
But you see now, something people brought up, have been bringing up earlier. I'm starting to kind of see where they're coming from. Eddie's kind of boxed Fury in a way, because if Fury comes across like he's the reason this fight doesn't happen, he's going to get historically all time buried by a lot of people.
Oh yeah, I think this is what this is all about. And some of the guys that brought this up, that's a good point. I think Eddie's putting pressure on to Bob and Frank to get this over the finish line, because if this doesn't happen in 28 days, they're going to take a lot of heat for it. Eddie Hearn.
YG, I know you got objections. I'm telling you right now, he will get historically. There will be people. I'm saying there will be people 30 years from now, especially over there in the UK, going, this asshole fucked up a all UK undisputed heavyweight title fight. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's right or fair. I'm not saying it will be right or fair. I'm saying that's the box they're trying to back him into. Go ahead.
I don't think, other than him probably getting really just knocked out, I don't think he could be trolled any harder than he was getting trolled when he first went on the bench.
Yeah.
They trolled him hard on the bench.
Oh yeah.
They trolled, and it was even not just the trolls, the boxers too. Joshua was trolling him. I mean, like Dillian White, like it wasn't just the trolls, but he actually got trolled by some of the professionals.
Right.
True.
So like,
okay. So you're saying he probably will, but he won't care.
Yeah, it's not going to be as. I don't think that, like, if this fight fall apart, I don't think he'd get trolled as hard as he got trolled when he went on the bench.
No, I just think there's going to be a lot of UK fans.
He's going to get. He won't be trolled by the professional fighters. He'll be trolled. He's going to get trolled by the UK fans. Going to be very upset if this thing collapses. And they're all going to blame him.
We have to keep in mind how, I mean, it's always historic when you have, undisputed champion after 20 years. But this is like a first time ever for the UK, is it not? I mean, I think going all the way back.
It's the first time ever to have two UK fighters fight for the undisputed championship at heavyweight. So this is the first time in history.
Right.
It's sad that the UK can't see it, witness it themselves, but it is what it is. It is a historical moment, so let's go ahead and embrace it one way or the other. Though, as far as the trolling is concerned, I don't think Tyson Fury would be concerned too much about the trolling if the fight falls through, because remember, he was trolled a lot worse when after that Vlad first fight, after he pulled out and started making those derogatory comments about gays and Jews. That right there, I think he disappeared from social media because of the trolling he was getting from that, the ridicule. So I think if this fight falls through, then he doesn't care. He's like, whatever. There's no, you could blame me all you want to, but you won't believe me anyway to say it wasn't
Okay,
my fault.
that's fair. But I guess then my only point was just that there will be heat. Whether he cares or not is a good point. That's a fair
Yeah,
point. But I
yeah.
think he's going to get a lot.
I
Of
don't think he's gonna care. I don't think he's gonna
That's
care.
fair. That's fair.
If you really look at it too, and the way y'all bringing it up, the pressure's kind of really on AJ on the other side too, though, because you got to think about it. Fury's been out the ring for what's going to be, if they fight in June, it'd be a year and
6 months.
And 6 months.
Yeah.
So no, that's not a year and 6 months. That's a year.
It's a year and hold on. It's a
they
1 year.
In February.
4 months. 4 months. 1 year and 4 months. Yeah.
Like a year and 4 months. So if he don't win, because basically we already know Tyson Fury is going to be in way better shape going into the second fight than he will be the first fight.
Right.
Because the rebound, unless he takes a pounding in the first fight. But to me, he got Joshua has to win the first fight, because if Fury has the layoff and beats him the first fight, going into the second fight, what you think he's gonna do? Unless he just takes it for granted and like doesn't train and come out like Andy Luiz.
Yeah, that's the thing about Anthony Joshua. He still has some psychological effects after that first Ruiz loss. We could all see it. I'm just being honest. We can still see it. Now, if that still lingers on into the Fury fight, man, I don't like his chances. I'm just being honest.
Okay. I'll be your devil's advocate. I'll play devil's advocate, Dan. You know I like to play devil's advocate. All right. So how much of it is psychological baggage and how much of it is just changing his game after recognizing flaws in it?
That's a good question. I think it's a mixture of both, but I think it's a little bit more psychological. Yes, he did change the wrinkle of his game. He has a higher eye guard now. He's improved on his head movement. He's improved
the pacing is the thing I've mainly noticed. He definitely
his pacing a little bit better. Yeah. But he's acting he's a bit more gun shy by going forward, because Joshua, whenever he's gone for it, even before the Ruiz knockout and loss, he was getting caught numerous of times by opponents when he was trying to go for the kill early on.
Well, he was getting hurt multiple times. And that's when he would gas too.
Yeah, he would gas, he would get hurt multiple times, and he would look like he was gonna go in a couple fights. But it's just like he kind of understood that after the Ruiz loss that I may have gotten away with that in my previous fights, but I couldn't get away with it this time around with this guy, Right. So,
and I'm just going to speak for myself here. To some people, it may sound like we're nitpicking. Look, I hold AJ to the highest possible standard because I think he's that talented. I think he has that much ability. So that just comes with what I mean, being a heavyweight champion.
Yeah, I agree with that. We hold him to the highest standard because he has all the belts. When you have that many belts, or even if you're a champion, those standards should be held that high for you. I even held it for Deontay Wilder, believe it or not. And some of the guys didn't like that. They said, well, let Wilder do what he wants to do. I was like, well, you can't say that if you're going to criticize AJ for not fighting the guys you want him to fight.
Or trying to compare your 10 defenses to the defenses Ali made.
Yeah, don't do that. That was the most ridiculous thing. Look, I'm a Deontay Wilder fan. That is the most ridiculous thing you could ever do. Deontay Wilder never fought a Ron Lyle. He never fought Ernie Shafers. He never fought George Foreman. He's never fought a Ken Norton, a Joe Frazier. I mean, come on, man. You don't do that.
And fighting 5 times a year.
Or Sonny Liston. Yeah, or Sonny Liston. Don't do that, bro. Don't do that.
Yeah, I was looking back at that. Like Ali got some big stoppages wins.
Yeah, Hall of Fame wins too.
Them stoppages.
Yeah, don't do that at all, man. That's why I told the guys, if you want to give Wilder credit for the 10 defenses, great. He defended his title. But don't compare that to Muhammad Ali. Please don't do it. That's borderline an insult. Don't do it. And I like Wilder. That's just a fact. But
I've never been like a hater of Wilder. I think he's an entertaining puncher. I think he's a good component.
Think about Deontay Wilder. As much as that he gets flack. Yeah, here's the thing I would say though. As much as he gets flack for his lack of technique, his arrogance, and his sometimes you question his intellect. And always saying the wrong, stupid things sometimes, and then the advice that he gets, we can say all those things. But the one thing you can't take away from Deontay Wilder is that he is a talent. He's a very talented fighter. He does have some skill. Okay, he does have some great attributes. That's one thing you can't take away from him.
And I like watching him. I love watching him spark dudes out, like the Brazil knockout. That's beautiful.
Involved in, there's some excitement. You cannot take that away from him. And in fact, I will say this. if you match Dillian White against Deontay Wilder right now, everybody's picking Wilder to win that fight. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm picking him to win that fight.
I have
I'm
no
not
idea.
picking
I have
Dillian.
no idea. I have no idea who wins that fight. To be honest with
No,
you, right now, right now, I
I'm
don't.
picking, I'm picking Wilder because Dillian's too slow. I mean, he's slow on his
Mm.
feet. He's got some decent hand speed, but he gets hit a lot, and we saw that in his exit
I
fight.
think his technique's better though, Dan. I think his technique's better
Yeah, his technique
than
got better.
especially the footwork. I think the footwork's a lot
Well,
better
it's
than
got a little
Wilder's.
better. It's gotten better, but he's still very slow on his feet, though. That's the thing. He's still pretty slow.
No, I get you. I get you. I get
Yeah,
you.
and Wilder will time him very easily. Wilder is very, very fast with his straight punches. So that's another thing too. I mean, anyhow, um, let me say this: DGL says that Wilder versus Fury 1 was announced without a date and without any exact date. I was like, well, actually, I addressed that already. Wilder Fury 1 was announced with a date, with the promotion by Showtime and NBT Sport. They were immediately promoting that, but the venue was the one thing that was left outstanding. That got resolved within maybe 10 days, 15 days after they announced it.
Probably. But
Yeah,
and not to
but the
mention
fact is,
that was pre-pandemic. We have to remember that was pre-pandemic.
exactly, that was pre-pandemic, and the networks jointly announced that. So that's a different situation here. So DGO. Um, Haplo says not the first time in the last 100 years. BG London says 3 to 4 month promotion, press conference, and all tour dates. And yeah, thank you, BG London. That's another thing I got to take into account. Promotion. You have to
Oh
tour.
yeah. Then how are they going to? I don't know. I don't think they can
How are you going to promote this?
They're going to have to. It'll have to be like like Zoom conference.
That's not going to be enough. You got to.
I'm not saying it is. I'm
Yeah.
just being. I'm agreeing with you. It's a problem. It's a problem.
Yeah.
This is why
Well,
you're making me more and more. Hang on, more and more. I'm thinking the only place this can happen right now would be the Middle East, because they got the money and the government and the powers that be have enough, flex to just be able to go. Yeah, we're going to let a full crowd in here and do what they want. You know what I mean?
On certain conditions, we'll allow a full crowd on this condition here and there.
Yeah. That's
I
the
mean,
only. I mean, that's really the only place I can think is because Japan has the money, but Japan is not going to reduce their government's much more. There's more bureaucracy.
They're a democracy, so they're elected government, so they're gonna do what's right for the they'll play slave and do what's right for the people. So yeah, when it comes to authoritarian rule or communistic rule, they're gonna do it their way or the highway. That's the way it works over there.
And I hate to say it, but that's the only. That's going to be one of them. I'm telling you, people, if this fight happens within the next 12 months, I predict it's going to occur in some kind of place like that. If not the Middle East, it's going to be a place of that description. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
That does make perfect. But yo, Dan, do we got time to touch on that Ortiz hooker?
Yeah, we can touch on that fight. Yeah, we can touch upon that fight. I know one of the guys from the undercard pulled out. Kano pulled out that the undercard of that fight that I just read.
He did?
Yeah, he pulled out. Let me just in fact, let me get the story on that real quickly. But yeah, we could touch up on that. Of course, I heard about the judge that got suspended for the 117-111 scorecard for Estrada and Gonzalez rematch, but I don't know, man. I think that's a little bit too harsh. Why you put him on a temporary suspension? I mean, look, if you want to question the scorecard, so be it. But I think to go.
I couldn't believe the wave of intense anger. I didn't agree. I didn't agree with that card either. But I mean, I thought overall the fight itself was, pretty much.
But you know what?
I saw it as very even.
You know what though? Enough is enough though. Yeah. That's what they gotta start putting these judges on notice.
Yeah.
We can't like that. Hopefully that discouraged any other judge from not paying attention to the fight and just filling out his card.
Yeah. Well, yeah, to me that was a case of where I thought weren't the other two cards 115, 113, Dan?
Yeah, both of the two scorecards was 115, 113, which is
okay. See, I had no problem with that either which way, but then you've got what I call the turd in the punch bowl. All right, The party's going good, right? Everything else is okay, and then some dumbass had to do that. It's like, really,
Yeah.
The same thing happened with the Lara Cannoli fight. I
Yeah.
thought Lara won, but I wasn't too mad at the 115-113 for Cannoli. It was Levi Martinez. I still remember the judge. How mad he made me. I remember the judge's name. Levi Martinez is 117, and it's always 117, 111, isn't it, Dan?
Yeah,
Yep.
you always those referees, the Tommy Kazmatics, I can never forget you. Like
Yeah.
you cannot do that. Like you cannot, like, come on, what are you looking at?
I'm gonna go real. I got one for you that I never forget. Dan's gonna laugh because he's heard me talk about it. Bill Recht from the first Ali Frazier fight gave Frazier 11 rounds. 11 rounds. Are you kidding me?
11 rounds of 4. I'll be 11 for Frazier, 4 for Ali. Get the fuck out
Yeah.
of here, man.
Bill Recht.
I mean,
I'll never forget you.
that was a nip and tuck fight. I mean, it could have gone either way. Of course, you could argue Frazier pulled out the end with the last 2 rounds, including the knockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the 11th, but
That tells me that guy don't like Muslims.
He didn't like something. He didn't like
Ali.
something.
Ali had a lot of enemies. He didn't like him because he was too outspoken, especially at that time where it was very sensitive. I know it was early 70s when the fight happened, when civil rights was passed, but there was still a lot of racism and anger towards African Americans, especially prominent ones back then.
At that time period, I would say it was like things were starting to change, but it hadn't got done changing, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it hasn't quite. There were still people who couldn't get over the fact that, especially down south, that some of their state rights were taken away by the federal government. They wanted to keep their Jim Crow laws and segregation into play, but since the government decided to step in and outlaw segregation, that's when, things kind of like got a little hostile in the beginning, and they started to progress, but there was still hostility there. Whatnot. But we can talk briefly about the Virgil Ortiz and Maurice Hooker fight coming up. I don't like Maurice Hooker's chances.
Yeah, I think that's just a step up, your standard step up fight for Virgil. I think.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Virgil Ortiz, for one, he's a big ass welterweight. I can't see how I can't believe how he makes the weight.
He's not quite Fedora ridiculous, but it is a bit astounding. Yeah, he's not going to be there for long, I don't think.
No, he's not going to be there that long. No, but Hooker is a naturally small guy, so
140, right?
Yeah, he 140 pounder, and for the most part, he did have trouble making that weight for some time too. But we'll see how that plays out. I mean, I'm betting Ortiz to win that fight. We'll see how that goes. But as far as the the betting odds is concerned, Tyson Fury opens up as a negative 188 or an average of negative 190 over Anthony Joshua, who's a plus 165 by average. So Tyson Fury is a favorite going in. I think 2-1.
Damn, that's surprising.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'd lay $20 on AJ for that. I have no idea who wins that fight. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's relatively even fight, but they're going to slightly favor Fury. I mean,
I don't really think it's an even fight though.
What do you think? What do you think?
I just thought to be honest though, Tyson Fury should be the favorite.
Yeah, he should be the favorite because Joshua.
Even with I'm just throwing it out there. Even with the layoff.
Yeah, because he's and I don't know. To me, in my heart, I just still feel he's the better boxer. He's the better.
I mean, the thing is that Joshua. I don't know. Here's the thing you have to take into account too is that Joshua hasn't fought anyone who's bigger than him, who has a longer reach than him.
Nah, he fought Brazil.
Oh
Brazil?
yeah.
Brazil
don't know what he's doing. He's a big.
Brazil has no technique, man. Look, Brazil's a cool fighter. He's got heart. He's got some endurance and what he's got some. He has some not endurance, but he does have what's the word I'm looking for?
He takes a classic ass whooping.
No, I get that part, but I'm saying he's been in the ring with somebody bigger than him.
Yeah, he has durability, but Brazil is not that good technically, and he does know how to use those attributes pretty well. I mean, Tyson Fury, on the other hand, has great attributes. He's fast on his feet. He could box like a middleweight. He could slug with you if you force him to do that, and I think that's very dangerous. Yep, he can tie you up. He's got strength. He overpowers Joshua in the strength department, so that's worrisome for Anthony Joshua.
Does he though? I mean,
he could.
Those
I don't know.
Those muscles could get tied in wild.
That's what I'm saying. There's so many moving parts to this.
The thing about Joshua is that can he keep up? Can he keep up against Fury though? That's the thing though, because now I'm seeing Joshua putting on weight now.
I agree that Fury's the better boxer of the two, but AJ, while not quite the puncher Wilder is a way better boxer than Wilder.
Yeah,
He's
he's
going to be
Wilder.
yeah, exactly. He's going to be a different proposition than just fighting an arguably, and so if you wanted to be really harsh, one-handed fighter in Wilder.
That's true. And, some people say that, Doc. Technically, Wilder is not really a one-handed fighter. Yeah, he relied on that.
I know. I guess I'm just saying, if one wanted to be harsh to make a point,
Yeah.
put a point on it, so to speak, you could go that far, but I wouldn't either. Like I said, I'm entertained by Wilder. I think he's a good part of this.
But you kind of heard Fury when he said, "Man, I can still go in there and beat him with one hand behind my back," because when he's saying that, he's just talking about slipping his punches, landing the jab, and move on. Just like he did to Klitschko. Like,
yeah, pretty much.
He could go out there and just use the jab, slip punches, feint.
He could probably do that to Joshua too. Don't be surprised. He could probably do that to him as well.
Maybe he's that good. This is why we got to see it.
I think Joshua will put up a better fight between if it be better than Wilder and Klitschko.
Well, here's the other great part about it is I don't think this is debatable. In both cases, this is the best fighter either guy's fought.
Yeah, I agree. But at the end of the day, let's hope this thing's over the finish line. We have 28 days, 27 to be exact now, if you count the UK time. We have 27 days left to get this over the finish line, so let's hope they can get it done. But again, I do find it bizarre that this will be public. They'll announce this publicly and say, if we don't get this done in 30 days, we can't have a fight. I'm surprised about that. Never heard of that before.
Nah, I don't know about that though, because Fury beat Klitschko when he was on a winning streak, and then he turned around and beat Deontay Wilder when Deontay Wilder felt that his doodle didn't stink. So I don't.
Neither of those guys are as good as Joshua. Vlad was too old, and Deontay, I'm sorry, is not. He's not as good. He's not as good.
So Vlad was too old when he fought Fury. You saying?
No, he's too old to be considered the best fighter that he's fought. These are going to be the two best fighters because they're both. Because they're the both best in the world right now, and they're both hitting their peak.
So they're at the peak of their powers. But this is where I'm going to get you though, because how if when Fury beat him, right, he was too old, but then a year and some change later after that, Joshua fought life and death with him.
Vlad is not this. I'm saying Vlad's not the best fighter AJ's fought either. It's going to be Fury. Fury's going to be the best fighter that AJ has fought. I stand by that. So now, hang on. Now, if you wanted to argue before Fury, who's the best guy that AJ fought, right, or that Fury fought, I would probably say Vlad in both cases. In both cases. And if you want to say that the Vlad that Fury beat was better than the Vlad that AJ beat, I will agree. I'm not gonna. You can take that point. That's fine.
Okay. I get it though, but I'm a point I make, man. Everybody that AJ fights backs him up. So I like my point of him just. People think like earlier they were saying, "Oh, AJ gonna go out there and knock him out in 3 rounds," and I'm thinking like,
no, I don't. I
guess the last person he really fought on the front foot was Luis, but even in that fight, he was getting backed up. Like I can't go back to one fight and watch AJ where he wasn't getting backed up in the fight. Like everybody put him on the back foot at one point in time of the fight, so I don't see how people thinking he gonna go out there and dominate Fury.
Yeah, I don't think either. But I think if either guy stops the other, it's going to be in the last 3 or 4 rounds. I more than likely to me it goes the distance.
And it's going to take him a couple rounds to get used to that little movement thing that
the herky jerky.
That thing that he does right there. That because he didn't even really use that much in the second fight. Well, Wilder, right. he just actually just walked him down.
Yep. Well, yeah, he still did it a little. The upper body movement was still there, but he wasn't.
Yeah, he was still there. He was still doing punches at the same time when Wilder tried to come back at him. So, Yeah, I mean, look, man. Again, though, I really hope they get this. Stop bullshitting us and get our anxiety up in the air, man, about this. Like, they
Hmm.
need to really get this done, man. Get it done.
Yeah.
No,
Yep.
don't. I mean, again, it's just weird that they would put the deadline, make this publicly
I'm just speaking for myself. For the record, I put most of what we're talking about here down to the fact that we're in the middle of pandemic
Ooh, that was
times.
charging. Right now, the Knicks and the Nets is playing each other strong too. It's
Okay,
it, it's 108 to 113 with
okay,
46 seconds left. My fault. Let's tell you.
yeah.
But yeah, I
Well, I
think the
mean,
pandemic's a lot of why they're kind of like they want to push it, right? But at the
yeah,
same time, they want to completely cover their asses because everything's so unpredictable.
yeah, too. And I'm hearing something. I'm not sure if this is true or not. That their biggest obstacle is getting $100 million site fee paid up.
Right.
I
Well,
don't-
yeah, exactly. I mean, let's just be, let's point out the elephant in the room. It's no accident this happened in short order after Fury made the comments he did.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look,
That's you
honestly,
know what I
this
mean.
probably would have taken place if he didn't open up his mouth about Daniel Kinahan.
Well,
So
I was talking about the more recent ones where he's like, "Oh, we're no closer," and he was
yeah,
expressing frustration. And
I
then
stopped training.
remember Frank Warren, and then Frank Warren, Fish Eyes came out. Was it Friday or Saturday? And said, "Hey, I don't, we're almost there." And then Eddie comes out today
yeah.
with what he's
Well,
saying.
before that, Bob Arum comes out and said we can't even get the funding for the fight because of the COVID restrictions. We can't even do
Of
that.
course, he come out with that for a guy with so much money, he be penny pinching, man.
Oh, Bob that's Bob, dude. Bob, yeah.
This guy,
Dude, if Bob sees a quarter laying on the ground in the street, he's stopping to bend over and pick that shit up.
bro,
I'm not even kidding. That's Bob. That's Bob for you.
Yeah,
like, don't wait for him to go in his pocket to pick up the check. That shit is crazy.
yeah, exactly, man.
He's all like he ain't make a comment about nothing but the money. Well, I don't know about the money. He's always talking about the money not there. That's so crazy. He's always saying that. There's not enough money for not enough money for Terrence Crawford's opponent. Then with Lopez, he was saying Lopez wanted to
Yeah, that's another thing too. Since you brought
Dan,
that up, though, there's another thing that we need to take into account. We know about the Lopez and George Gambosa situation, right? And Bob Arum and Eddie Hearn were at odds over this because he warned Eddie, do not bid for that fight. If you bid for that fight, you're going to complicate this situation with Fury and Joshua. And Eddie did it anyway.
Eddie kind of flexed it, didn't he? Eddie kind
Yeah,
of
he
flexed
flexed on him.
it.
So, I mean, and I'm thinking, like, wait a minute. If I'm Eddie Hearn, and if he tells me don't bid for that fight, and I got the biggest fight on paper that I can get this done, get it over finish line, would I not do that? Not get involved in that?
And plus, that's not even Eddie's call.
Well, no, but you got to remember, here's the thing, YG. Eddie has got Fish Eyes, who's kind of partners in this particular instance with Bob on his side, because Fish Eyes is saying the same thing. Remember Friday or Saturday? He's like, "Oh, it's almost there, and hopefully we'll have an announcement soon." And then, surprise, here comes Eddie.
Right.
Nah,
But
exactly.
I don't think that's and hang on. And Fish Eye's comments came right after Fury was kind of doing his mumbling and grumbling and making some of the fans like, "Oh, great, this is going to be another shit show," and so on and so forth. I think this is all, when you look at it that way, it's none of this is surprising, really.
Nah, I mean, that was just Bob being Bob. Bob was doing everything. I was saying that since the Lomachenko negotiations. I knew that's what he was doing. He was trying to keep Lopez's pay down so he don't have to pay him, because you got to think about it, right? If Lomachenko was the highest rated, then again, Tank is in and out because he's not really, basically he's fighting at 130, then he moved to 140, so he wasn't really listed as a 135 fighter. But Lomachenko was rated as the highest 135 pounder, right? So if you only get paid whatever he got paid, 1 point or 2 point, whatever he got paid for that fight. Now after that, if you just beat the best guy in the division, the guy, the most lucrative guy, how can you expect to get paid more money doing your next fight fighting guys that's not more recognized than him? So that's what I knew. That point when he was doing that, I knew Bob was trying to keep his pay down so he could keep doing the same thing. Well, you're not a star, because that's his way of keeping your pay down by saying you're not a star. You don't what you call
But that's
it.
the same, that's the same crap he pulled with Guillermo Rigondeaux, which pissed me off to this day, man. Never get forgiven Bob Arum for that. The way he treated Rigondeaux after he beat his number one golden goose at the time, Nonito Donaire. Okay, Bob was seething after that fight too, talking down on Rigondeaux, slandering him, talking about I can't even promote the guy. He's worthless to me. I'm like, what the fuck? How you gonna shame one of your best fighters in public over the fact that he beat your number one guy? This is the same shit.
I will bet you. I'll bet you anything. I'll bet you anything. We could go back if we went back into the 80s, the 70s, and 80s. We could find plenty of so-called defensive fighters that he probably did promoted fights for. I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Marvin Hagler was very good defensively. I mean, come on now. What are you talking about?
So I think going.
Ray Leonard was a very good defensive fighter too. So they were more offensively minded, but they were very good defensively as well.
I'll tell you what. When it comes to Bob, I've seen Bob's act long enough. I'm not worried so much when it comes to AJ Fury because believe you me, if they manage to secure a 200-pound, right? So however many more $200-something million site fee. If they're able to secure that, Bob is he's gonna forget all that bad blood with Eddie real quick and home in on that money.
Yeah,
he's gonna home right in on that money. This is the guy that hang on. This is the guy that did business with a Don King. He in interviews to this day insists tried to have him killed, and after that he still did business with him.
I get what you're saying, but he really can't go too far because remember Fury.
I agree.
Fury got the MTK global thing with Shelly. Like Bob doesn't have full control like he does with the other fighters, like how he got with Crawford and Lopez and whatnot. Because you see Lopez did the purse bid.
Yeah,
but like he can't fully block the fight like he could do with those other guys because
because of fish eyes, because he got fish eyes.
In motion, so he can't really. Basically, he's really just representing them in United.
Well, actually, technically, he can control Frank Warren because Frank Warren doesn't have the capital to do this by himself. Let's be honest here. He doesn't have the capital.
Yeah, but the fish eyes will jump ship over to Eddie's side of things in a hurry. I mean, if it comes to that.
Yeah, but that's true. But again, it'll complicate things if you don't have Bob Arum's backing on it. Because you got to understand, he's also potentially putting in another a key. He's a key part. He's a crucial part of procuring the funds for this fight.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about it because, like I said, I trust in Bob's greediness that he's gonna forget any bad blood if and when they secure.
Well, that's true. But look how long it took for him to make Mayweather and Pacquiao. There was a lot of bad blood there. That took years. So same thing with Crawford and Spence. Look how long that's taken now.
But that's not the money in that. There's not.
Yeah, but to be fair though, big fights like that, they're gonna want a gate. They're not gonna do this in a bubble. There's no bubble.
You can't do.
Hold on. Dan sound funny on your end too?
No, I got no problems.
No, why?
Oh man, it's me. You sound like your nose is stuffed up or something.
No, I'm good, man.
It sounds fine to me.
No, I just got a phone call. I know what it is. It's my phone. It's on my end. I got a phone call.
Yeah. Hey, but anyways, guys, I gotta wrap this up, man. I gotta get going. I gotta go tend to my wife, man. It's good talking to y'all. All right.
Happy wife, happy life, Dan.
You too, guys.
Yo, I definitely appreciate you letting me what you call it, man. And like next time I guess during the week, if you want, we could wrap up the rest of the fight because that's the fight coming up for this weekend.
Yeah. We could do that.
We got Taylor Ramirez coming up for sure. We got at least.
I'm glad about that one. But you know what? That's more of like somewhat in-house because MTK Global, Taylor and Ramirez are in our.
Oh no! I was just talking about something future stuff for us to talk about.
How good that fight is gonna be.
That's gonna be a good fight. I can't wait for that one. So Undisputed Clash for 140. Great. Alrighty. All right,
All
man.
right.
Okay, guys. Thanks for hopping on,
Appreciate
Doc.
it, Dan.
And
Peace. Bye.
anytime, man. Peace, guys.
Yep.
All right, guys. The rest of you guys in the chat, thank you for
Bye.
peace. Thank you for joining me on BJ London, Shiz Biz, Haplotype, Blood Boxing. Who else I'm missing here? Haplotype, Recognize, The Matrix, Ahmed, Aki. So other than that, I'm here. Okay, guys, I'm out. I'm gonna finish this off. Until next time, peace.